In this module, we'll review some of the methods to manage a database. First, we'll learn how to use SQL+ to connect to the database. Then, we'll make use of SQL Developer to connect to the database and run queries. Lastly, we'll explore the use of Enterprise Manager Database Express to manage the container and pluggable databases. Let's open a new connection to the Linux server. Log in as yourself, then sudo to Oracle. Oracle account doesn't have the proper variables yet to be able to connect to the database. If I try to run any database command, the Linux shell will not be able to find it. Let's try SQL+. The shell couldn't find it. We can manually set all the environment variables as I showed you in a prior module. Or now that we have the database created, we can call a script that will do this for us. Let's do that now. Let's type in dot space aura env, then hit enter. Let's type in test as this is the name of our database. Let's check the environment variables. Let's type in env pipe grep-i oracle. We can see that we have Oracle Home, Oracle Base, Oracle Seed, and LD library path set. We can see as well that path has been updated to include the Oracle Home bin. Let's now connect to the database. For this, we'll use SQL+/assistDBA. Make sure to include a space between the slash and the word as. SQL+ is probably the most widely used utility to manage Oracle databases due to its versatility. You can use it to develop SQL and PL SQL. You can use it to debug programs. You can run SQL scripts, also SQL scripts that run other SQL scripts. You can generate data reports. If you haven't done so, getting acquainted with SQL+ is probably one of the first things you need to do as a DBA. Let's exit from SQL+. Other way to do this is to enclose /assistDBA with double quotation marks. Notice there is no space between the slash and as. Let's exit again from SQL+. Now let's talk about SQL Developer. SQL Developer is a free SQL development tool created by Oracle. You can download this tool from OTN site. Install the corresponding version for your platform. If you install Oracle Linux and haven't disabled the firewall, you will have to open it before we can use SQL Developer or any other tool to connect to this database. To do this, sudo to root with sudo su dash, then run firewall command to open port 1523, then run systemctl to restart the firewall service. Once you have SQL Developer installed, open it. In the Connections section, click on the green plus sign. This will open the Connection Manager. Enter the name for the new connection. I'll use test. Enter sys in the username field, then its password. Optionally save the password. In role, select sysdba. Sysuser can only connect as sysdba. Hostname, enter the name or IP address of your Linux server. Enter 1523 in port, or the port you selected when creating the database. For service name, use the name of the database. If you don't remember what name you gave to the database, open a terminal as Oracle, set the variables using orenv, then type listener control lsnrctl status. This will return the services that this listener is servicing. Then check service name and enter test.howto.zone or the name you gave to the database during creation time. This is the global name. Once you have entered the required fields, click on Test to validate all the information is correct. You can then save the configuration, then click Connect to connect to this database. Lastly, let's now move on to the Enterprise Manager Database Express. Let's see how to get information pertaining to Database Express. If you still have the terminal open as Oracle, run the listener control status command. This will show the IP and port where DB Express is running. You can identify this by searching for presentation equal HTTP. In my case, this is running on port 5500. Another way of finding out the port is by looking directly into the database. Open a SQL Plus session as DBA, then run the following command. Select Get HTTPS port from Duo. This will return the port this database is configured to listen on. Now, open a browser and enter https the IP address of your Linux server, the port you got from the query before, /em. If you are having issues opening the page, it might be because of firewall issues. Let's sudo again as root, then open port 5500 in the firewall using these commands. Once the firewall is back up, try again on your browser. DB Express uses self-signed certificates. Most modern browsers will warn you about this. You can add this site to the exception list. We can see now that DB Express is asking me for a username and password. Let's omit the container name for the time being. You'll need to have Flash installed on your system to be able to use DB Express. In order for a user to use DB Express, his or her account should have one of these roles, EM Express Basic or EM Express All. In this module, we discussed three different tools that can be used to manage a database: Command Line with SQL Plus, SQL Developer, and DB Express. We learned how to set the environment variables to run SQL Plus, how to specify the DB connectivity for SQL Developer, and how to get port information for DB Express.